Today's new patch didn't go as well as it should have. Even though we got a lot of cool stuff and some of it that I didn't really expect, like the Wizards of Vault changes, well, most of the content here seems like it wasn't ready to go. The new raid encounter is insanely bugged and completely overpowered to the extent that only a few groups has been able to kill it, even though this is literally normal mode and everybody should be able to just go and do it. People are very confused with the new wardrobe system, and there's a lot of functionality that really is just annoying to use compared to what we used to have before. And the rewards for doing raids and using your legendary insight on it are completely bugged in the vendors. So what the hell is happening? This was supposed to be a good system patch with no content, so these systems are indeed very polished, and the next patches also have time to cook. Are we in a very bad situation? We're gonna get something just like Jandar was in last year? Well, there's a lot to it, so let's go through exactly what's happening, why people are mad, and why this patch is a little bit of a disappointment. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch me live every morning, and let's get into it. First of all, before we go into the bad stuff, I want to talk about the good one. Not only we got Lunar New Year with some absolutely gorgeous boots that have hooves on it, but we also got an insane amount of new rewards for Wizards of Vault. I'm gonna have to make an entire video talking about everything that's changed on it, because it's not only what you can get from it, but how you acquire it. So yeah, very good changes in this regard. There's also so many new achievements like Infallible, where you have to go through every one of the raids with no downstates and on a time limit, which is probably the hardest title you'll ever have to do in Guild Wars 2. Or Raid God, that if you kill every one of the bosses in the entire raids, you can get a special title and a special skin that you can only get here, and it looks pretty cool. There really is just an insane amount of new titles and achievements to go for raids that I can't really go for everything. So yeah, even though I'm gonna complain a lot in this video, there is a lot of good stuff in it. But as I said before, yeah, there is a lot of very bad stuff. Well, not bad, but incomplete. People are complaining a lot throughout this week about the fashion templates and how they were actually gonna work, with good reason. The live streams didn't really explain too much how it would actually work out, and it almost looked like you would end up losing a lot of functionality from your equipment templates in this new system that would honestly make it more annoying than an actual quality of life feature. But honestly, it was pretty hard to know if they were gonna be good or not, because we didn't have our hands on it. We could speculate on how it would work, but once we actually got in there, well, that was gonna be the important moment. And well, now we have it, and people are not very happy. Not only you can't really just go into your wardrobe and select anything that you want to change and change the dice and wardrobe just with one click. Now you have to go into fashion, then wardrobe, then you have to select whatever fashion you actually have, get equipped fashion, so you have the exact same setup that you had before, and then start changing stuff. But also it seems to be bugged in some way, or at the very least, there's some sort of unintended design that forces you to actually spend translation charges to be able to equip them in the first place and then actually change the dice, for example. This problem will actually get fixed very soon, making it so the get equipped fashion to be able to start changing the fashion that you have on your equipped template will be free. So you can change the dice on your existing sets of gear without spending transmutation charges and more easily bring your existing fashion into the new system. But even when this is the case, well, the new system is a little bit annoying. There's so many more clicks that you have to go for. If you want to change only one weapon, for example, you're gonna have to, or armor, you're gonna have to change the thing, right? And then go in here, you cannot save it, because if you save it, you're gonna save it on the actual applied template that you have right here. You instead have to go in here, save it, and then apply it to the slot to actually change the fashion in your character, which is so much more steps that you had before. And this also means that one of your templates, you're gonna have to keep them all the time there. Just have one of them to be able to change whatever fashion you have on that moment. And you can't really use it as what it's supposed to be, a fashion template, or you to storage whatever fashion you actually want. It ends up working like a sort of wardrobe that we used to have very easily, but now, well, it's just one of the templates. I guess you do get your second fashion template to be able to use it as an actual storage of some sort of fashion that you actually have instead. But you only get 2 for free. The rest you're gonna have to pay for, even though this is an expansion feature that, well, in some ways we paid for when we bought the expansion. And this is without considering the fact that we're only getting wardrobe and tools, no mount templates, no glider templates, nothing else. And yeah, sure, we're getting it later, but man, this is the patch right now, not in a few months, and definitely not in a year, like they said that they probably will end up finishing this feature in Winter's Day. So yeah, kind of half-baked. And honestly, I do think it's pretty easy to fix. You can just get your wardrobe that you had before implemented. So you have the normal version that we had before and this new version, and then everything is fixed and we get more things that we actually are losing right now. But it's very weird that we ended up getting in a quality of life update worse quality of life that we had before. This should have been an easy win for them, but it ended up creating more problems than it actually is solving. And that's very annoying because I know that they actually care. I don't think they're actually trying to make insane amount of money with this, or that they're, doing this on purpose or something like that, or that they're incompetent. I don't think so. If they wanted more money, they could have literally just make this character bound instead of account bound, for example, and we would have gotten cooked, right? We would have to pay so much more. But they did it in this way, so we just had to buy it one time, even though I probably would say that maybe we shouldn't have to buy this in the first place. Well, I don't think they're really going here and being greedy or something like that. I think they really wanted to help us with this, but because of a lack of testing or time, well, we ended up getting a system that ends up working worse than before in some ways, even though in a lot of ways it is pretty cool. And the same thing happens with the raid quick play. It's buried in the raid training. You have to go in here, which most people won't actually know that is even here. The quick play is a little bit bugged, and sometimes you get some sort of instance error and you get 10 people but you can't get in, and then you have to leave the group, and then you get the server timeout, or sometimes you get 3 out of 10 and you can't just quick play again. And it's just such a, I get it, it's beta or whatever, but we also don't have any raids. We only have strikes in this, right? Which doesn't really make a lot of sense because, well, it's raid quick play. It should be getting us encounters that we normally could not do. But strikes are something that a lot of people do all the time. It's not really something that people are having too many issues with it. So what's the point in having quick play if it ends up working almost exactly like normal mode, where you obviously don't have subgroups? Yeah, you should have a damage buff and a lot of other things that do make the fight easier, but hey, you have no boons because obviously, well, you're playing with 10 random people. There's no organization, so of course this buff ends up like giving us exactly the same experience as normal. You can indeed kill people through downstate, through complete just death, which is very, very good. But when you have fights like Old Lion's Court that are super hard, harder than some actual raids, this ends up being a bit weird and not really a great experience for new players that are gonna end up like dying over and over again and then having to restart or just sit there for 30 seconds trying to revive someone. Yeah, it's better than nothing, and it's definitely overall positive implementation to the game, but it could have been so much better, and well, it kind of isn't. Why are all the rewards in the new vendor from raids that you can purchase with LI and Magnetite Shard insanely expensive for items that we already have? Look at this, guys. Shadow Bench of Final Judge, 2000 Magnetite Shards, and 125,000 Legendary Insight. You get 77 of this a week. This would be 34 years of actual farming. That is insane. And yeah, of course, that is a typo. There's no way they actually meant that. How are we getting so many bugs in this patch? I thought that we were trying to polish things out with these expansions. The whole point of not getting any content in this particular patch was in order for things to be more polished, to have better quality. And if that's not happening with this, when we're getting barely one raid encounter that we also had in the actual story, and it's just a half-baked fashion template that is not working with good quality of life, plus it doesn't have mounts, plus it doesn't have gliders, Plus, we have a raid quick play that doesn't have actually raids, and there's so many bugs in between everything, like the raids being bugged, like the LI render being bugged. Like, yeah, it's a bit disappointing. It almost feels like they just try to give us way too much in one patch with all the systems together, and just couldn't really meet it. But man, at the same time, it feels like it's so little. It's just such a weird feeling. As I said before, there's a lot of very cool stuff in this patch. The new collection for the new legendary, I think it's pretty awesome, with a lot of very cool High Lake lore, and the Wizard's Vault changes. I love the skins, and even the new fight, if it wasn't for the box, would be very fun. You have to get wins on here. We cannot have half things good and half things completely half-baked. It just cannot be happening anymore. And there are a lot of people who actually don't yet understand how the fashion system works. I actually don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. Even in this post with 242 upvotes, the person doesn't actually understand how the fashion templates work and how they're actually account wide. And they had to actually get corrected in the comments, but the post is still up there. And I understand that maybe this was poorly explained and it's not very intuitive system, which is indeed in a lot of ways ArenaNet's fault. But yeah, we also should be careful and try the system out before we throw it out the window. This patch could have been an insanely great patch with no issues. Everybody would be happy. And yeah, it's just no content and we still would have a successful patch. But because of all these little things that ended up piling up into a huge thing, people are very mad. And I think ArenaNet needs to remember that these things are important. The perception of these things are important. And if people are very mad about other stuff, they'll bring that in to this patch and not really have a lot of charity towards the patch and of course the game. So hopefully they learn from this. Maybe we can get a little bit of a beta next time about this kind of systems on quick play or on fashion templates, so we can test it out a little bit and tell people and tell Arena to be like, hey, change this thing a little bit here. You know, maybe this other thing should be changed in this other matter. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, we can't just keep having patches like this when everything just goes off the wall crazy and everybody's dooming for multiple days when we should be having fun in the new patch. But yeah, I don't know. That's what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. See you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.